Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh my goodness. I was having a little bit of technical difficulties, but I am here in the room, in the space. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so glad you are with me tonight. Just say something to me if you're watching this tonight live or if you end up watching it on replay later on. I'm really happy to be here. I'm happy to be here. Happy Thursday, everybody. Let me get all my little notes together and bring everything up the way I need to. It's little stuff on my screen. I don't need know what's going on. How y'all doing? How are you feeling on this Thursday? I just want to know what's happening in your world. Let me know. Let me know. Are you good? Are you good? I am Iana Ba'at, and I am half of that dynamic duo behind Black Love and Marriage, and also the founder of the Art of Overcoming and my Transcend program. And I am gonna get into some things tonight. Da, 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 da. We're gonna get into some things tonight, so I hope you are ready. If you just happen to pop on here and you're like, I don't even know what's going on, I just want you to know that you are in the right place, because every place that we end up, more often than not, there's something for us. There's something for us. So I'm trying to pull my notes up. Tonight we are talking about gaslighting yourself. Gaslighting yourself. This is the silent sabotage that many of us don't talk about. We don't talk about it. Matter of fact, many of us don't know about it. But we know about some gaslighting when it comes to our men. You know, like, oh, he gaslighting, he doing this. Oh, this is what he doing to her. He gaslighting her. Do you know about that, girl? That is gaslighting. He trying to make you believe that that's not what really happened. And the reality is that you have to be willing to trust yourself. Well, we do this to ourselves as well. And tonight, I want to get into this. So, if you again are watching and you get an aha moment, you get something that really, really hits for you, I want you to just go on ahead and acknowledge it and just drop something in the chat. I want to know your thoughts. Okay. So, all right, y'all. We are talking about gaslighting. And again, like I said, this is something that we don't talk about enough. This conversation isn't just about psychology, it's about freedom. Freedom, freedom, freedom. Somebody, somewhere, at some point, type freedom in the chat, because to be free is the goal always. To have emotional freedom, to have emotional clarity, to have spiritual alignment, and stop the cycles that keep us questioning our worth, that keep us questioning our needs, asking ourselves, am I doing too much? Am I not doing enough? All of these things, we got to get out of that. And the gaslighting that we do to ourselves keeps us stuck. It keeps us stuck. What's up, Kimberly? I see you on this evening. What's going on? So I want to first start. I always like to define what gaslighting is, or whatever it is that we're talking about. I like to define it because oftentimes people think they know what I'm talking about. We ain't talking about the same thing. Okay. Bottom line is, gaslighting is when somebody is making you question your reality. Question your reality. They deny what you're saying or your experience of them or the situation. They minimize your feelings, or they twist things and make you seem like you crazy or like you didn't just see what you saw, right? That's what gaslighting is. What is self-gaslighting? Self-gaslighting is when you do that to yourself. Da, 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 da. It's when you do that to yourself. What happens? What happens when we do that to ourselves? Because it's so easy for us to look out and to look at other people and what they're doing to us. But if we understand that everything that we experience in our life, everything that we're experiencing from day to day, moment to moment, is what we are creating in some way. In some way, we are attracting this to us. Then we have to look at ourselves. We have to look at ourselves. So, there is this dynamic that I have noticed in the work that I have done with women. I have noticed this a lot where, I mean, there's some women, there's some who are like, this is what needs to happen, and this is how it needs to be, and this is what I need, and and they clear, and I have to get them to come back to the middle and be like, sis, it's not all about what you need exactly at that moment, in that way, in that time. You have to pay attention to the relationship dynamic. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be in relationship? But there are many people, many women, because it's a learned behavior, that minimize their voice and are always questioning. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Always questioning themselves, and there's some examples that I can give of this in terms of how we self gaslight. And if this hits for you, you need to pay attention to this, because this is a really toxic, unhealthy thing and theme that women specifically do to themselves, and specifically in their relationships, because you start feeling unseen or unheard. But you tell yourself, well, I know he's got a lot going on. I know he's just stressed, and I shouldn't bring this up right now. Da, 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 da. I'm not going to bring this up right now. You feel perhaps that a boundary has been crossed. And even though the boundary has been crossed, you say to yourself, well, maybe I'm just being too sensitive. People always told you you're just so sensitive, right? You know something is off, but you convince yourself, I'm probably expecting too much. I really just need to, like, I'm not trying to go there tonight, so we're just gonna leave it alone. We're just gonna leave it alone. But the reality is that there are some things that you need to know about yourself, and that you need to know about your situation when you are caught up in a cycle of self gaslighting. And I'm gonna share it with you tonight. If you're ready for me to share it, just type ready, ready, ready. Okay. So there are roots to self-gaslighting. I want to start there. I always got to go back to the roots, like, where does this come from? Why some people do this to themselves and other people don't? What are the experiences that people have that have them in a place of gaslighting their own selves? I ain't got to convince you, because you do it to yourself. Well, the first one y'all should already know: childhood programming. Isn't that always like, it's always something going on with our childhood? Particularly for those who perhaps might be older siblings or the oldest. And sometimes it's not the oldest sibling, but whoever the sibling is who had to take care of everything, where you expected to be the strong one. You're the one who has to kind of stand in the gap and take care of everything and everybody. What's up, Jakina? It's good to see you. Or were you overly emotional? That's what they told you. You're too emotional. You need to calm all that down. Nobody want to hear all of that. You're doing too much. So when you hear those kinds of things over and over again as a young person, you start to take on the identity that I am doing too much because somebody else couldn't hold emotional space for you. And sometimes that somebody might be your mother. Sometimes that somebody might have been your daddy. And when that's happening, then you start to tell yourself, I'm doing too much. I need to bring it down, because you feel guilty for the emotional needs you have. You feel as though, even if no one said it to you, because they did not get met, because you needed more emotional connection, because you needed more emotional support, because you needed your mom or dad or the people who were in your life as a young person to just check on you. Somebody put in the chat, check on me. People didn't check on you, then you attract someone who is not checking on you or checking for you. And if you should have the audacity to say, I need you to show up differently, or I need more from you, they like, what is this? You're doing too much. They telling you the same thing that your childhood folks told you, right? Your parents or whomever your caregivers were, and if they didn't say it outright, they demonstrated it to you. I need for everybody to realize this and remember this, especially when you are in a space with me, that we don't pick up in our childhood and in our upbringing. We don't pick up what our parents or our caregivers tell us. We pick up from them what they teach us. Not what they tell us, what they teach us. So sometimes when I'm sharing things, sometimes people are like, no, my mother never was like that. No, my daddy, he ain't. Mm-mm. But it's not what they say, y'all. It's what they do. It's like you're looking for some validation and you don't know that's what you're looking for because you're young. You need some support and it's not given. You're kind of ignored. You're not seen. You're not heard. And so nobody ever says to you, well, some people do say, children are what? Stay in your lane, stay out of grown folks' business, seen, not heard, right? But a lot of our parents, did not say those things, but they treated us that way. There's a lot of cultural conditioning, particularly for women in general, and especially for women of color and Black women in particular, where we're expected to be nurturers. We're expected to be the forgivers, the holders of space. We be talking about holding space, hold space. We got to hold space for our brothers. We got to hold space for our children. We got to hold space. But we are rarely the ones who get to need something. We don't even know how to do it. How many have felt tired? How many feel tired right now? I'm just tired. But you wouldn't actually go and say, you know what? I need you to do this and this and this, right? Because for other women, there's a fear of abandonment, there's a fear of conflict. And so we just want the peace to be maintained. We want the peace to be maintained. We'd rather shrink than risk being seen as difficult, being seen perhaps even as replaceable. And so we stick with what we know, even when we know it's not good enough. And so when we find ourselves coming out of childhood and family of origin programming like that, the consequences are that we self-gaslight and we don't even know we do it. There are consequences to gaslighting yourself over a period of time. I say all the time, y'all, I say all the time, we're practicing everything. You're practicing everything. You are practicing boundaries or you are not. You are practicing people pleasing or you are practicing giving volume to your voice. You are practicing saying no or you're practicing minimizing your thoughts and feelings and just going along. You're practicing being accommodating or you're practicing first saying, let me check in with myself and see how I feel about that. And then I'll get back to you. You're practicing saying, okay, let me see how I can figure it out. Or you're practicing, that doesn't work for me. That doesn't work for me. And so there are consequences when you are practicing the gaslighting of yourself over a period of time. One of the consequences is emotional numbness. Somebody type emotional numbness in the chat. I can't tell you how many times as a young person and earlier on in my life where my therapist would ask me, you know, what do you feel? Talk to me about how you feel. This is why I do the work that I do because, honey, I wasn't feeling nothing. I was not aware of my feelings. Okay. And it's not that I wasn't feeling anything, but I had no ability to connect in with my emotions. I just went right to my intellect. And if I did connect in with an emotion, it was anger. It was anger. You know what I'm saying? So emotional numbness is one of the things because you start to get a habit of not prioritizing your voice, prioritizing yourself so you don't even check in for yourself. No one can check for you if you do not check for yourself. Da, 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 da. No one can check in on you if you do not do it yourself. You're the strong one. You're the one who shows up. You're the one who has the answers, and you're the one who is not vulnerable, doesn't let a tear drop, doesn't let yourself share with anyone that you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed. You don't do it, so no one can check for you. And so then you don't check on yourself and you are emotionally numb. That is the consequence of continuous self-gaslighting. Constant anxiety, second guessing yourself is another close cousin to numbness. On one end, you don't feel anything. On the other end, you're just anxious all the time, unsure and second guessing. I'm just not sure. Anybody know about this? I'm confused. I'm confused. I don't know. Oh, I don't know. I'm confused. I don't know. And this is from gaslighting. Because the reality is, we know how we feel if we get still enough. We know what we need. There is no one who knows it better than you, sis. No one. But until and unless you give yourself the authority to speak it, to feel it, and to own it, you will stay in a comfortable place of being confused because if you get clear about it, then oh my goodness, I might have to advocate for myself. I might have to speak up and I might have to hold myself accountable for what it is I say that I need and not stay in this confused, fake ass, I don't know space. I'm not coming for anybody who does the, I don't know. But as soon as you tell me that, I'm like, oh, she gaslighting. She is in a place where she doesn't have the authority. She doesn't have the internal authority to be able to own her feelings. Because when she goes there, then she gets scared about what that means and what she might have to do. Another consequence is resentment. I tell the story about stacked up resentment and a sister friend of mine who was silent in her marriage. She was silent in a lot of ways. She spoke up about things from time to time. They had conversations and got into discussions that never really got resolved. And she'd be like, I'd be like, talking to her on the phone, like, so what then? What happened? You know what I'm saying? What is the deal? And she'd be like, we ain't come to nothing. You know what I'm saying? And she never really put out the fullness of her disappointment, of her expectations, of what wasn't happening. And one day, that's why I be saying the men need to be careful, because he was just as comfortable, y'all. She used to say, I'm done. And when I say she was done, she was done. And what he said to her, and he said to me later on, it's like, I knew that we had problems, I knew we had stuff, but she never really actually said to me that it was on that level. Like, she has all this anger and all this resentment that she been like stacking up for all this time, and I ain't even know that. Like, I knew we had some stuff, I didn't know it was on that level. And that's what happens when you self-gaslight. You have resentment that stacks up over time, and then you get to a place where you are done. And the reality is, I'd like to be able to say that, you done, and you know what, go ahead, you should be done because he just didn't change. No, but oftentimes you have not actually put yourself out there. You have not actually done the self work to really give volume to your voice in the relationship. You haven't stayed engaged with it. You are walking around, y'all ain't talking to one another. Y'all go into your cycles, but you're not actually fully engaged in the work. Oftentimes you don't know what it means and what it looks like to be engaged in the work, I'll give you that, but you're not seeking any help. And so that resentment turns into you cutting something off that could have actually ended up differently. But that's the consequence of gaslighting over a period of time. You learn to just be quiet and let that slow deterioration happen in the relationship. And yes, I am a relationship coach. I am a therapist. I am a transformational coach for women, for those who do not know. And my belief is that most people can navigate their relationships more effectively, more efficiently, and be fulfilled in them. But most people tap out and don't want to do the work. But every once in a while, you are in a relationship you don't belong in. Da, 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 da. You're in a relationship you do not belong in. You are unaligned, and you have been in for too long. And when you gaslight yourself, you stay in situations you should have been gone from. You should have been in a place where you have a healthy, fulfilling relationship, or your life is just giving love and bliss and joy and freedom, but you're in a place of depression and anxiety and dissatisfaction and struggle because you stay in a place where you don't belong. And the way that we get there, the ultimate way that we get there, is that when we self-gaslight, we disconnect from God and we disconnect from our own intuition and our own spirit. Oh my goodness. I hope y'all understand what I'm saying. When you disconnect from your intuition and from your gut and from your own spirit, when you disconnect because you are numb and because you've been practicing self-gaslighting, guess what? You just out here on a struggle bus. You're on a struggle bus. And so I want for us to recognize, I want for the women to recognize, when I have worked with women over time, that it is not just your right to get in touch with your feelings, what you think, what you need. And it's not just your right to share that in relationship. It is your responsibility. It is a part of your becoming. It is a part of your being a whole person. This is a common thing. Let me just sidebar real quick. This is a common thing where if you haven't gotten here yet, you got young children, and you don't have children who graduated, gone to college, or in process right now. I have quite a few people reach out to me. I really am looking to know myself more. I need to understand, like, what's going to be this next phase of my life. What am I doing? Because I just feel lost. And I want to normalize the fact that it's a major ass transition. It's like when you have a baby. You know what I'm saying? The mama's on here. When you have a baby and you was walking around, getting up, going where you wanted to go when you wanted to go. And rolling out and be like, yeah, we're going to do the girls trip. And like, oh yeah, I'm coming out to the party tonight. Yeah. And they called you an hour before it was time to leave. Them days is over when you have a baby. Okay. So the same thing happens when you transition. And now your children are moving out or going off to school or in their own spaces. I have so many women reach out to me and say, I'm really kind of confused, like, because now my marriage is kind of getting crystal clear that we just be around each other and we really just be functioning. And I'm really not that happy with my life. My job is getting on my nerves. It's been getting on my nerves, but I had motivation and things to distract me before, and I don't anymore. And so when we're in that place, we can be distracted from all of the things that we need to be doing to have a sense of self, to have our own voice. But it is our responsibility. It's our responsibility to figure out and know who we are. It is our responsibility to lean into our assignment, our divine assignment. At any time in life, we have a particular assignment. And sometimes that assignment is motherhood. And sometimes that assignment is being able to make room and be there for your extended family in a certain way. Sometimes that assignment is about expanding your awareness and your capacity in terms of your talents in the workplace. Sometimes that assignment is about your spiritual unfolding, but always there is an assignment. Always. Always God has an assignment for each and every one of us. And it is never just held up in our marriage or in our families. It is always a 360 assignment. It's an assignment on every side. There's a way you're supposed to be doing, moving, and something you're supposed to be learning. And I want you to know that if you resonate with anything that I have shared, anything I have shared this evening in terms of this gaslighting or of yourself, or maybe I'm looking at, look at the closet back there, Lord have mercy, this gaslighting of yourself, or anything that I have said that really resonates with you in terms of disconnect, I want you to know that healing is possible, but it will not happen just because you pray. Let that down. It will not happen just because you say, Lord, help me. It will not happen because you get insight and because you read a book. It will not happen because you really want it to happen. It will only happen because you take action and because you get really serious. The same way we get serious about making sure our children have what they need. The same way we get serious about, you know what, I'm going to go out here and get this degree and I'm going to go back to school, or I'm going to apply for this job, or I'm going to whatever. You know, whatever it is, wherever it's easy for you to show up. Because everybody is different. Some people have a hard time showing up in the workplace and having confidence there. Others, it's in their marriage or in their relationships. And others, it's in other places, in the community and so forth. But wherever you find ease, you got to show up for yourself in the same way that you show up in other areas of your life and really give commitment to that place. I want you to know that you can speak your truth even if your voice shakes. Oh my goodness. Lord have mercy. Because self-abandonment never leads to wholeness. It never leads you to the place you need to be. You've got to reclaim your boundaries. You have to validate your own experiences, even when your boo or your friend or whomever is not validating you. Yes, we need to be validated. It's helpful. But you will not be able to receive any validation from anyone else if you do not learn to do it for yourself. You won't even be able to receive it. I have counseled and coached so many people in relationships, in marriages, and the sister is looking for something from her spouse, and he starts to show up and he's moving in a different way. He's actually moving differently. She cannot see it. She cannot see it because she has not been able to give it to herself, because she has only been focused on the work of the relationship and what he should be doing or not doing, but she has not focused on really being a blessing to herself. I got to go stand in the mirror and talk to myself. I got to ground myself in my relationship with God, and I gotta face this fear that I have that he's going to hurt me again. Because if I say I'm staying in this relationship, then what the hell is the point of staying in it and being raggedy ass angry all the time? I called it raggedy ass angry. I don't know why, but I just did. And being raggedy ass angry all the time, distrusting all the time, shut down all the time, not connecting all the time. What is the point? There are so many people I know who come to us and they have decided, women have decided, I'm staying in my relationship. We're having a hard time. We've been having a rough ass time for a minute. And I'm not giving up because I want to be able to say, how many of you recognize this? I want to be able to say that I've done everything in my power to honor my commitment, and not just honor my commitment. I love this man. I want us to be together. But then you do everything to work against yourself. Everything to work against yourself. And this is why you can never look to your man. Oh, don't, I'm about to go. You can never look to your husband. You can never look to your partner to be the one to give you that feeling of the greatest trust you will ever experience in your life. To feel like, oh, I trust you beyond. You can never look to him to do that. You can never look to really anyone to do that, because people will be people. I have been married in May, going on 23 years. Is it 23 or 24? 23. I hope I'm right. You ain't gonna get me. We've been together 29. My husband has hurt me throughout our marriage in some way or another. I have hurt him throughout our marriage in some way or another. No, we're not dealing, and we have not dealt with no major hurts like infidelity, anything really critical like that in many, many years. That was in our early, early days prior to marriage and in the first few years of marriage, and we overcame that. So we're in a different place now. But for me to, think or expect, and this is how many of you move, many of us move like this, that if I see or smell some sense of you're saying something that I feel unsure about, or makes me feel bad, or hurts my feelings, or your truth really, really, bumps up against me and what I know to be true, then I'm ready to withdraw and be done. And I'm mad and I'm angry, and now we're in this cycle. Like you gotta get over that. You gotta get over that. And that's because we're not doing our own work. We're not doing our own work. And so that's another form of gaslighting yourself. Focusing on what he is or is not doing, and not paying attention to how you are showing up, how you are receiving it, and having good, strong, healthy emotional boundaries. So no, we just different. He thinks this and I think that. And how are we going to work on this thing? So tonight, y'all, this is your invitation to stop gaslighting yourself. This is your invitation to actually be able to look at where you are gaslighting yourself, to actually pay attention to the fact that you're doing it in the first place, to stop pretending, to stop calling dysfunction love, to stop calling your silence strength. Somebody told me a long time ago, and I like to tell this to the women that I work with, especially my clients I work with one-on-one. Sis, you don't have to suffer. Anybody at the sound of my voice that really is resonating with what I'm saying, look at me. You don't have to suffer. Whether you are with the one in relationship that you are supposed to be with, or you are not, whether you haven't found the person or you keep attracting the wrong person, you don't have to suffer. Your voice is sacred. Your experience is valid. Your truth is holy. But you've got to be willing to make room for yourself, for all of yourself, and for the truth of what you experience. Your needs are valid, and your healing is necessary. It's necessary. So I want to, again, just invite you to think about the ways in which you may be gaslighting yourself. I want you to think about it. I want you to drop it in the comments. I want you to say, you know what, I'm going to go on and work on this thing. I'm going to have the conversation. I'm going to pay attention to this unrestrained anger that I have, where I just be going off and then be looking at my husband or the next person like, well, you earned it. Like it's on you. It ain't on me. I got to really work on this thing. I'm going to stop gaslighting myself, and I'm going to sit down. Maybe I'm going to go to therapy. Maybe I'm going to go to coaching, right? I want to invite you to consider even my program, the Transcend program, which I will drop in the description of this video. Because this is a program where I really take the time, Transcend, and we do some deep dive work to know who you are, to do a 360 round approach. Who are you? Where are you trying to go? What's going on in your life? What's going on in your relationships? What's going on with your purpose? Where is it that you need to really focus? And whatever you are seeing, it is a reflection of what you believe about the possibilities for yourself. When somebody told me that a long time ago, y'all, I was like, that sounds good. You know, that makes sense. But then they said, now look at your life, write it down. What is your life giving? And then let's talk about what you really believe in terms of what you're getting. Because what we get in our lives, what we create, the reality that we experience is a self-creation. And until we can really reckon with that, we will never take full responsibility for creating the life that we want, for creating the love that we want, for creating the space that we want, the energy that we want. We will never be able to fully take up space the way that we need to, because we will never realize that it's on us and God. And as long as you are in alignment with God, then you will be all right. You will be all right, and you'll be taking the next step and the next step and the next step. Yes, I see Kimberly put in the chat boundaries. We always talking about boundaries up in here. So I'm going to again invite you to really take a deep kind of moment for yourself to think about what stood out for you tonight. You can always schedule a consultation with me, and I can share more with you about my services, about my Transcend program. I have a retreat coming up in July. I'm about to get up over here without saying that, and I will also drop the link there. It's called the Becoming Her Retreat, and that's happening in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee in July. You still got plenty of time. It's the spring, that's in the summertime, and it is an intimate retreat. It is beautiful in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, becoming her, the most healed, elevated, and rooted version of yourself. Oh my goodness, we have a good time. Did it in January, and we're doing it again in July. And I'm just really grateful for what God is doing in this space that I have created and I'm curating for women to release what no longer serves you, to take up space and to own your power and to own your voice and to recognize where you need to shift and grow, where you need to create boundaries, where you need to open up and be vulnerable, where you need to make a shift and reframe your life so you understand your power. You step on top of your story and you claim it unapologetically. I am a living witness of this type of being, this way of being. It is not a linear, I just go up and up and up and up and up and up and up, and now I'm on the mountaintop. It has dips and little ebbs and flows and little valleys and all kind of things. But it's good. It's good when you're in alignment. It's good when you ain't gaslighting no more. It's good when you are in a place where you can be seen and heard, and you are feeling valued because you are with like-minded sisters who can hold you down and hold space for you. It's good when you can see God moving in your life and moving in your relationships and moving in a way where you are being transformed, where you are softening up, where your heart is getting softer, where you're less guarded, you're more open, but you have to stay leaned into that energy. And I just want to encourage you, if something hit for you tonight and you know that there is more for you, to join me in my Art of Overcoming community. Join me, get on my email list if you're not there. All of the links will be there in just a moment. Join me in my Transcend program, as my next cohort is starting next month, April. It will be a brand new cohort, and then we will be together in July at the Becoming Her retreat. So all the things are available to you. God bless you. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. No more gaslighting yourself. Please, please, no more. Peace and blessings, everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye.